The air crackled with anticipation. Dust swirled around the two locked figures, a whirlwind born of clashing steel. Stiffen, king of the northern reaches, met Ahriman's fury head-on. Each parry, each riposte echoed the terrible clang of a blacksmith's hammer upon an anvil. Their duel was the eye of the storm, a maelstrom of violence surrounded by the roar of 1,000 separate battles. The ground, churned and muddy, drank in the blood of the fallen. The scent of iron hung heavy, a grim reminder of the cost of this conflict. But above it all, the clash of their blades, a deadly ballet of attack and counterattack, held the attention of both armies. It was a dance of death, a fight that would decide the fate of nations. Stiffen, face grim beneath his helm, fought with the cold fury of a cornered wolf. Ahriman, eyes burning with fanatic zeal, wielded his blade like a venomous serpent, quick and deadly. Theirs was a rivalry older than kingdoms, a hatred passed down through generations, and on this day, on this blood-soaked field, only one would walk away. Even as Stiffen fought, a part of his mind remained detached, surveying the chaotic panorama of the battlefield. He saw the courage of his men, the desperate struggle against overwhelming odds. He saw their fear too, the way they looked to him, their king, their leader, for hope in this hour of darkness. And the weight of their expectations pressed down on him, heavy as the mountains of his homeland. He had led them here, to this killing ground, and he would not fail them. He would not break, not while a single man still stood beside him, fighting for their homes, their families, their freedom. Ahriman sensed his enemy's momentary distraction. With a roar that shook the very foundations of the earth, he pressed his attack. Stiffen, caught off guard, barely parried in time. The force of the blow numbed his arm, sent a jolt of pain through his entire body. He staggered back, his breath rasping in his throat. He was tiring, he realized. He was, after all, flesh and blood. And Ahriman, fueled by some dark power, seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. But despair was a luxury Stiffen could not afford. Not now, not when everything was on the line. The clash of steel intensified, a whirlwind of blades flashing under the pale sun. Stiffen, drawing on reserves of strength he didn't know he possessed, rallied. He fought with the ferocity of a man possessed. Each blow aimed to kill. Ahriman, surprised by this sudden surge of power, gave ground. He snarled, his voice a guttural growl, and unleashed a flurry of his own. The air filled with the screech of metal, the sparks flying like miniature stars. Back and forth they fought, locked in a deadly embrace. Neither man gave an inch. Neither man would yield. Their hatred was a living thing, a palpable force on the battlefield. It fueled their every move, driving them onward to a final, inevitable conclusion. But as the duel raged, a change came over the battlefield. The tide, which had seemed to turn in favor of Ahriman's forces, began to ebb. The soldiers of the northern reaches, inspired by their king's tenacity, fought with renewed vigor. They pushed back against the enemy, slowly but surely gaining ground. Ahriman, sensing the shift, glanced away for a moment, his attention drawn to the faltering ranks of his army. That moment of distraction was all Stiffen needed. With a roar of defiance, he lunged forward, his blade a silver streak in the sunlight. The blow struck Ahriman on his side, biting deep into his armor. A scream of pain, mingled with rage, escaped his lips. He stumbled back, his grip on his sword loosening. Stiffen pressed his advantage, his heart pounding in his chest. He could see the fear in Ahriman's eyes now, the flicker of doubt that had not been there before. He raised his voice and it boomed across the battlefield, a sound that rose above the clangor of battle, the cries of the dying. "For your homes! For your families! For your freedom!" Each word was a hammer blow, striking to the hearts of his men, igniting a fire in their souls. And from the throats of the northern reaches, 1,000 voices answered his call, a roar of defiance, of hope, of sheer bloody-minded determination. It was the sound of a people pushed to the brink, a people who refused to yield, who refused to be broken. Ahriman, clutching his wound, glared at Stiffen. Hatred burned in his eyes, but it was a flickering flame now, threatened by the winds of doubt. He had underestimated his enemy, had mistaken his quiet strength for weakness, but it was too late for regrets. The die was cast. The battle would be decided here and now. With a roar of his own, Ahriman rallied his remaining forces. They surged forward, a wave of darkness crashing against the unyielding shield wall of the northern reaches. The clash was deafening, the very earth trembling beneath their feet. As Stiffen locked blades with Ahriman once more, he realized that this battle was about more than just their personal rivalry. It was about the fate of two nations, two ways of life. It was about the future itself, and he would see it through to the end, no matter the cost. The outcome of the battle hung in the balance, a testament to the courage and sacrifice of countless souls. For in that final, desperate clash, it was not just the fate of kings and kingdoms that was being decided, but the very soul of a people.